Hey everybody, and welcome. Um, you may have seen by the title. I wanted to have a look at the launch titles for both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. I've kind of been looking at them and listening to or watching some YouTube videos, listening to some podcasts, and my general kind of consensus is that it feels fairly weak. Um, Now, we can go into reasons why, because it might not necessarily be like purposely weak, but it does feel a little bit weak. And I wanted to have a look at how previous consoles lineups had come out. I wanted to have a look at what you get now for your money for the PlayStation and Series X and compare it to PC. You know, I'm a primarily PC gamer, and I genuinely believe that there is a bit of a false economy with consoles as to what they get you and how the money works out. But we'll go into that later. First off, I wanted to have a look at them. Now, obviously, we're only just over a week away from the launch of the Xbox Series X on November the 10th. We are, a little more than a couple of days later, the PlayStation 5 launches. If you haven't been able to pre-order them, it's unlikely you're going to get one on launch day. But I'm here to kind of tell you, maybe that's not such a bad thing. I would love to have a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X. Or so I thought, until I actually kind of looked a lot of it up and went, would I actually play anything on these games? Or on these consoles? Because other than a kind of select few games, I really think that there's not much else out there different from if you had, say, a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One X. They absolutely are much more powerful machines, but as PlayStation kind of customers will tell you for a long time, it's all about the games. And yeah, I get that you're not buying a PlayStation 5 or Xbox for the launch day, but you are paying a premium to get it on the launch day. And, it's worth noting that your experience is going to be different from somebody who, say, picks one up 6 months later because of updates, etc., and stuff like that. So there's a lot of hype around these consoles. They look pretty good on paper. It doesn't look like a lot of the games coming out are really using a lot of this extra power to its fullest potential yet. But listen, you get that with every console cycle. The games you get out now on a PlayStation 4 compared to the ones that came out at launch are very different as people get used to it and eke out every last bit of power. Look at The Last of Us, Part 2 compared to, I don't know what the hell came out on PlayStation 5 launch, but say Uncharted, the first Uncharted or something like that, it does look much better. Still, Uncharted looks good, but it does look much better. And I think that, well, let's kind of get into it. Let's have a look at what the launch titles are. So, PlayStation 5 launch titles. We got Spider-Man Miles Morales, absolutely a banger. I'm sure it would be great. Worth pointing out, though, can get it on PlayStation 4. So it's not. I struggle to see it as a true kind of launch. It's not a launch exclusive, is it? Let's face it. Yes, you can't get it on Xbox, you can't get it on PC, but a lot of people will have PlayStation 4s and they will probably pick up Spider-Man Miles Morales. Demon Souls remake, as far as I'm aware, this is only on PlayStation 5, and it does look very good. However, there is a massive point here in that you have to be into these types of games. Now, a lot of people are, but the sales of a Dark Souls game, for example, compared to the sales of an Assassin's Creed game or a FIFA game or something like that, or a Call of Duty game, is not comparable. Like Demon Souls would do well, but it's not. I don't believe it's the game that is going to get people to go, I'm going to go get a PlayStation 5 right now. Godfall certainly not. It looks fine, but it just looks fine. It reminds me of Rise, Son of Rome on Xbox, which is like, it looks very fancy, but maybe there's not a lot of substance under there. We'll see. Maybe there is. Bugsnax. I mean, that's also out on every other console, so it's not exclusive. As far as I'm aware, you don't get anything much better on PlayStation 5. Sackboy: A Big Adventure is an exclusive, as I believe it is coming out on PlayStation 4 though. So you can still buy it on PlayStation 4, and again, it looks fun, and it could be a really good little platform game, but reality-wise, it's not. There you go. Spider-Man Miles Morales' Sackboy: A Big Adventure are cheaper on PlayStation 4 and have a free PS5 upgrade. I mean, you can't make it up, can you? Yeah, it looks fine. Again, it's not a console seller for me. Then you get to games which are on different consoles, so Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, Devil May Cry, Watch Dogs Legion, Dirt 5, NBA, Fortnite, blah blah blah. There's not nothing else there really that is going to be there. And then first party PS4 games receive the next gen upgrade on day one. Spider-Man will, and Ghost of Tsushima will. And you might say, well, actually, there's quite a lot there to kind of interest me, but I still feel it's a little bit weak there in terms of what they're. And then coming up during the launch window, you've got Ratchet and Clank, which looks decent, but again, I'm not sure how much of I'm not sure how many the first Ratchet and Clank on PlayStation 4 sold. I think it did okay, but I know it went pretty cheap pretty quick. FIFA 20, fine. That's the upgrade, I guess. December 4th, Madden December 4th. Destruction All Stars is coming in February. Outriders February. Now I see they're saying launch window, first 6 months as launch, but Destiny is available to play, but you won't be able to get the upgrade to PlayStation 5 till December. Far Cry 6 could arguably not be in the launch because it has been pushed already, but that's going to get pushed for everyone, so it's not necessarily PlayStation's fault. Immortals, Phoenix Rising, again, that's on all of them. There's not a huge amount here. I think Oddworld Soulstorm is an exclusive to PlayStation 5, and that's kind of about it. Cyberpunk, obviously, it's been delayed. Don't think they had Cyberpunk on here at all, do they? Yeah, and I know that when Cyberpunk does come out, from what I know anyway, it doesn't have straight away an upgrade for PlayStation 5. So if I'm looking at that, I'm going, okay, there is a couple of big games I want to play, but otherwise, maybe you're going to have to stick with the upgrades that you might get from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Call of Duty Black Ops, Watch Dogs, etc. that you might get there on there, which, there's stuff for you to play at the end of the day. It's not disastrous. Xbox, again, has, very much kind of upgraded kind of versions. So, your Assassin's Creed, Borderlands 3, Devil May Cry, Destiny 2, Dirt 5, Forza Horizon 4, it's your older games again. There's an argument to say that this is actually even worse than the PlayStation, and I wouldn't disagree with that, especially as they've lost what's it called, Halo, which was supposed to be the big thing, although how good that looked, I don't know, but I don't feel like there's another big kind of Xbox like launch title. I guess the only advantage you have is that with the Game Pass, you would get, if you were buying these games on PlayStation 5, and we'll get into this later, that'll cost you a lot of money, and fair play to you if you can afford, to spend 500 quid on that PlayStation 5 and then also spend another 500 quid on games, because they will be expensive games. On Xbox, you could spend 500 quid on a console and realistically maybe only buy one game, like an Assassin's Creed, and you would have a lot of other games available free. Now, I know on the PlayStation 5 they are doing that launch kind of PlayStation Plus thing where you can get a lot of older games free, but I'm more talking about the things like Spider-Man and Demon's Souls, etc., that are obviously not going to be included in that. So let's have a look at how this compares to kind of previous launch titles that we have here. Now, we can have a look back at the PlayStation 1, but these are much different times. Like the PlayStation 1 is a great console, but we have established franchises nowadays, like Assassin's Creed games, like Call of Duty games, which just weren't around back then. So, a lot of these games, you were just kind of, I don't know, really, just none of them make sense. You wouldn't hear of them nowadays. Rayman, sure, you might. NBA Jam, Ridge Racer, fine. Wipeout was obviously a classic, but it didn't launch. PlayStation 1, I don't think, launched with a huge lineup of like absolute bangers out the bag, really. PlayStation 2, sorry. I think you had a few more there. Like you had some follow-ups. I remember the kind of PlayStation 2 launching. I remember Ready to Rumble. Boxing was good fun. You had Dynasty Warriors. You obviously had your Madden by then. Midnight Club Street Racing was pretty popular back then. Street Fighter, Tekken Tag, Unreal Tournament. Looking at the European stuff, you had your Ridge Racer again. Silent Scope, I remember that. GQ World Soccer 2000. Well, you had FIFA 2001, I guess. Yeah, Time Splitters was a bit of a classic there as well. PlayStation 3, you started to get Call of Duty, Madden, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which is a really good game, actually. Tony Hawk's, I don't think that was a very good one, though. Trying to look at what else you had. Marvel Ultimate Alliance, NBA Street, Need for Speed Carbon, Ridge Racer 7. God, they're still going with the Ridge Racers. Tony Hawk's, Virtua Fighter, Virtua Tennis, World Snooker Championship, Splinter Cell Double Agent. And then PlayStation 4, we got Assassin's Creed Black Flag, Battlefield, Call of Duty Ghosts, FIFA, Killzone, NBA, Need for Speed, Warframe. I did not know that was a launch game on PlayStation 4. That's interesting. Angry Birds Star Wars is obviously the banger there. And I guess when you look at this, you go, yeah, maybe there wasn't like, maybe the launch lineups are always a bit crap. I feel like I've looked at this one before, and obviously, I looked at this before I did this video, but then I looked at it and went, yeah, you know what, maybe launch lineups are just a bit crap anyway. Maybe it's really not worth getting a console at launch, which is kind of the point of this video. Xbox One, you obviously had Halo, which was huge. That really was. I felt things like Project Gotham Racing was actually pretty decent. I always enjoyed Fusion Frenzy as well. Actually, that was kind of a good game. Looking at European here for what else I had. Dead or Alive 3, Jet Set Radio, the NBA and NHL games, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 was good. So it's a decent launch lineup there. Obviously, Halo, yeah. Xbox 360, you had AMP3, Call of Duty 2, Condemned, FIFA 06, Road to FIFA World Cup. That was terrible, honestly. That was back when FIFA would release, they'd release a FIFA, then the next year they'd release one which was just basically like a World Cup one. Or this thing, it wasn't that long ago, FIFA were doing like a special World Cup one where they wouldn't even update your game for free with the World Cup. It's outrageous. Pro Evo recently updated their game for free with the Euros, even though they obviously went out. Perfect Dark Zero, I remember being very, very big for people. Gun was a decent game. Need for Speed Most Wanted was very popular. American Wasteland, I can't remember if that was one of the good ones or not. Need for Speed Most Wanted, I know, was really good, even though they've shown a picture there of Payback. That's interesting. And then Xbox One launched with Assassin's Creed Black Flag, Battlefield 4, Call of Duty Ghosts, so very similar to the PlayStation, FIFA 14, Forza Motorsport 5, Marvel Lego Heroes, Rise Son of Rome, I spoke about that before, Zoo Tycoon. I remember the Xbox launch and going, there's nothing there I want, really. Black Flag, I guess, was the star, but you could get Black Flag on anything, so I believe it was even on the Xbox 360 as well, so you didn't need to upgrade to get it. So my point is that, if you have a pre-order and you're going to pick it up, I think you'll have a great time. But if you don't, and you felt a bit bummed out by that, I wouldn't really worry too much, because honestly, there's not a huge amount coming out for them that you can't get already on maybe an older console or whatever. And you might say, well, yeah, it will look better, it will run better. Yeah, it will. But that's where I want to introduce you to this little thing called the PC. So, recently, we've had some very interesting announcements in PCs. I did a little bit about the new NVIDIA cards. They've just announced the AMD cards, although I haven't seen any benchmarks for them that AMD haven't done themselves, so independent benchmarks. So I don't trust it, is what I'm saying right now. But it does look very good as well. We just had the release of the RTX 3070 from NVIDIA, a card which hits the same benchmarks as the 2080 Ti and does it for less than half the price, which is insane. That's 2 years old, a 2080 Ti. That's like them. That would be like them releasing the PlayStation 5 for £200 instead of, no, sorry, 250. Yeah. People would be losing their minds. Because that is not, and that it's a huge leap in technology for less than half the price. It probably actually would be more like the PlayStation releasing for about 200 quid. It would be insane. To the point whereby you can create an incredibly powerful PC, more powerful than a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X. Yes, I am going there. For the price of an RTX 2080 Ti at launch 2 years ago. That is mind-blowing for me. I'd put this together very quickly. I'm sure people could get better prices on a lot of things, but you have a Ryzen 5 3600, very decent CPU. You have your B550 Tomahawk motherboard, gives you a little bit of breathing space for future upgrades. 16 gigabytes of RAM, absolutely fine for gaming. 1 terabyte hard drive and a 500 gigabyte solid state drive, absolutely fine. Like those, you obviously have your 3070 if you can get one. It's a bit like the PlayStation, I guess, and Xbox. Decent airflow case and a decent power supply. You might get a few other bits, which might put up to about 1200, but that's how much a 2080 Ti was launching for a couple of years ago. It's really insane, I think. And it made me think that, like, what's the kind of cost comparison here when we look at this? And I did a quick little kind of spreadsheet together to kind of show you guys. It might be a bit small, so I apologize, but I'll go through it with you. So I just wanted to go through, say, like, you're kind of like, the person who's buying a PlayStation or Xbox at launch is, it's not your casual gamer. It's your person who has disposable income, clearly. Probably, I wouldn't even say 16 to 30, I'd say 16 to 50 would probably be the kind of the age range. Disposable income, time to obviously play games, and I don't like the term hardcore gamer because I firstly, it just sounds wrong and I don't even know what it means, but definitely a enthusiast gamer, somebody who will be like, instead of coming home from work and putting on a video or like a film or something, will come home and jump on their console with their mates or play the latest Assassin's Creed or something like that and enjoy it, and that's what they'll chat about with friends or something like that. It's their primary hobby is what I'm trying to say. And I wanted to have a look at kind of like, what's your upfront costs? What are your games going to cost over the next 2 years? And what are your subscription fees? In other words, to be able to play online. So with PlayStation 5, your upfront costs in the UK is £449. If you can get one, obviously. And that's not including if you buy the digital. But to be fair, you would increase the cost of games if you did buy the digital. So you might save 100 quid, but in the long run, because you can't buy secondhand games, you're going to increase the cost a lot. Your PlayStation Plus each month is $6.99. Gets you a couple of games, but they're usually a lot older games. I think, I've had PlayStation Plus on and off since I've had a PlayStation 4 for a good few years now, and I think out of all of them, I've probably only played through one of the 2 or 3 of the games on PlayStation Plus. It really, I feel like if you were going to buy that game, you would have bought it when it came out, not waited a year for it to come out on PlayStation Plus, if that makes sense. You certainly might try things out, and it gives you a good chance to try things out, and I think that's good. But personally for me, and I think for Gary Gamer here, he who has disposable income and can buy a game, he's going to have brought the game when he wants it, not wait for it to come out on PlayStation Plus. So the way I worked out the games cost over 2 years for the PlayStation 5 was an average of 1.5 games per month, plus a subscription fee each month. So the reason why I said 1.5 games per month on the PlayStation 5 is, as I said, I don't think PlayStation Plus is nowhere near as good as Game Pass, obviously. I think that is a given. And when you think about it, I think Gary Gamer is going to buy 3 games every 2 months, on there, really. Try something out. PS5 games are obviously expensive, so I've put them at £60, and that's come to £2,327.76 for 2 years, which puts your total cost over 2 years at £2,783.75. It's quite a lot of money, isn't it, really? Xbox Series X, same upfront cost. Games over 2 years. So I've said 1 game per month plus sub fee. The reason why I've said less for Xbox is because I guess you could argue there's less, but putting it that Gary Gamer wants to play the same amount of games, the Xbox Game Pass is far superior to PlayStation Plus. Therefore, Gary Gamer won't buy as many games because he has superior games on the Game Pass. So actually his cost comes out at £1,680, despite the increased cost of the subscription fee. Which comes out at £2,139.99 for 2 years worth of gaming for him. PC, I've said the upfront cost £1,200. If you wanted to get that decent PC, you could certainly get that cost down by buying second-hand parts, by hunting through the sales for like Black Friday or in January sales, etc. And the cost of games have gone £720, which is a game every other month, plus the subscription fee to go online, which is £0. Now, why are you saying is Gary Gamer, if he has a PC, only buying a game every other month? Now, the reason, and I haven't added this factor in, but it really would only cost you another couple of £100 if you potentially did it. But the reason why I haven't added it in is, I'll go through what it is. At the minute, you have some really great subscriptions on PC, which you can buy into. So you have the Xbox PC Game Pass, which is, I think, £7 or $7.99, something like that. You have Uplay Plus, which is $15.99, gets you access to all Ubisoft games, past and present. So currently, Watch Dogs Legion, Assassin's Creed Valhalla are included in that. And you have EA Play as well, which or EA Play Pro, which can get you all the EA games, current and future, for I think $14.99 a month. And you might say, okay, well that's actually like £40 a month, but that in reality is your game every month, and you get all those games. Sure, every now and then you might buy the odd game at GTA or something like that, but in reality, or a Call of Duty maybe, but it's covered your bases on pretty much most of the big games coming out. The only exception might be maybe a Cyberpunk here or there. You could up that to $900 maybe to cover that cost. It's still cheaper than everything else, especially PlayStation 5. I don't know, people might argue and say, well, actually, I would only buy this, I would only do this, but I would encourage you to work it out. I would encourage you to sit down and work out, because people kind of look at the PC and go, oh, the cost, it's too much to cost. And I'm looking at this from a pure gaming perspective. Obviously on PC, you can do so much more than you can on a console. You can still hook your PC up to your TV. If you're planning on playing it on your TV, you can still do that. You can edit on it. You can do your work on it. That's probably quite important nowadays. So a lot of people, more and more working from home, might actually look at investing in a PC as a good, prospect. Even if it's a laptop with a graphics card in it, that will still get you gaming on there. You can still run a HDMI out usually. Check first on your laptop, but usually to a monitor, so you can run it like almost like a little console, on a monitor or a TV or whatever, and game like that. There's so many options out there for you on PC, more than others, and that saving is only going to increase across the lifespan of a PlayStation 5 is 4 years, double this. saying there's a PlayStation 5 Pro coming out, whatever it is, but say that it is, and say your PC lifespan is 4 years, which is probably reasonable. Like, only crazy people upgrade their graphics card every single time a new series comes out. And when I say crazy people, I obviously mean rich people. Usually people wait for like every other kind of lifespan. So my 2080 Super, I'm very happy with it, and I've already had it for probably just over a year now, and I think it will last me another couple of years easy. I could push it to 4 if I wanted to, probably. Especially with some of the great work they're doing on the DLSS stuff and things like that. But I think what's important is that £687 variance, that only keeps going up. If it's another 4 years, that's £1,200. Plus you have everything a PC can do. Now, don't get me wrong, PCs are frustrating as hell. Only yesterday I went to play Watch Dogs. There was an update on the NVIDIA control panel, and for some reason it now doesn't recognize my monitor as being G-Sync compatible, despite it being an actual G-Sync proper monitor. I don't know why. It took me an hour to work out what the issue was because the game wouldn't load, etc. I get it. It's frustrating. But I also think that there's valuable skills to learn in there. Everything nowadays is done with computers. Pretty much everything in the world runs on Windows. So knowing your way around Windows is actually a valuable skill in itself. And having a little bit of savvy. I've worked with people in the past who, especially older people, obviously, who don't have a clue about how to do anything on a computer, and to the point whereby simple things like connecting to different networks or changing your your Wi-Fi type from say 2.4 gigahertz to 5, it just blows their mind. And I'm like, these are very basic things you should know how to do on a PC, like how to get around and work it. And they're obviously not console gamers themselves, usually, most of them, probably not. But what I mean is that actually, like, that sort of stuff, a lot of the stuff I've learned on PCs is because I've played games on it, and I've learned that sometimes the games can be tricky, but there's valuable skills actually there which you can apply to other programs which might not load, or work out why they're not working or what's wrong with your PC. Not to mention the fact that when we take into the account of, from a PC point of view, when that next cycle comes out in, say, 4 to 5 years, or say it's 4 years until a PlayStation 5 Pro comes out, maybe 3, that will cost you another 500 quid when that comes out, maybe more. A PC, they can just upgrade their PC. When the 4000 series graphics card comes out for NVIDIA, another 500 quid, pop that in, boom. Suddenly you're hitting 8K, 60 frames per second, or whatever the hell it will be at that point. So I think there's a really, it's really important to remember sometimes with PCs, like now, the cost for what you're getting is at such a good price point right now. The only issue, same with the PlayStation and Xbox, is getting your actual hands on those items is very difficult. And what I'm trying to say is that, like, there is no launch window for PCs. Everything you want is just out there to play. And most of the stuff on here, you can play on PC. Certainly all your big ones. PlayStation 5, sure, you can't play your Spider-Man, you can't play your Demon Souls, your Sackboy, or your Godfall. But there's so many more things you can play, I can't play Football Manager on any consoles at the minute, although I believe there is a version coming to Xbox, but it is only going to be the mobile type of version, so not quite as good as the full version. A lot of things like Divinity Original Sin came out very late to consoles, so probably Baldur's Gate won't come to console for a long time. Trying to think, there's loads of games out there, which specifically work on PC so much better and come very late to console or never release at all on console. And it makes me think that, like, I hope that more people are looking at the consoles and going, hang on a minute, should I jump into it? Now, yeah, I'm not saying people who don't PC game are like inferior. I don't believe that at all. Like, as I said, after I spent an hour trying to work out what the problem was with Watch Dogs Legion, I was like, fuck me, I wish I could just sell this PC and buy a Xbox or PlayStation 5, and do that. Obviously, I can't because I need to record and do all this stuff on it. But, later, once I was playing around with the graphics settings on Watch Dogs and seeing how good it looked with the ray tracing and all that, I was like, actually, you know what? I do love my PC, so I really wouldn't do that in reality. I think I would feel very stifled by that on there. So, yeah, I kind of wanted to have a look and see, is the launch lineup that bad for PlayStation or Xbox? I don't think it's that bad. I think there's some good choices out there. I do feel that gaming has changed, and a lot of what you see is sequels rather than new games. I mean, you've got Dirt 5, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, God knows how many that's into it, Borderlands 3, Devil May Cry 5, Destiny 2. It's a lot of sequels to stuff, or a lot of stuff which is rolling over with a new kind of version. No Man's Sky looks great. Spider-Man Miles Morales is a sequel. Demon's Souls remake is a remake. Godfall is new. Bugsnax is new. It is coming to PC at the same time. Sackboy Big Adventure is new. But yeah, otherwise you're looking at a lot of stuff which is, old stuff or sequels basically to things. So where's the next gen stuff, And I think that's kind of important to remember as well, is that you're not going to see next gen stuff for a while. It's going to take a while for people to get used to what these consoles can do and how they work, and it's going to take a little while for people to kind of get used to them. But yeah, I wanted to do this to kind of have a look through and see what it's worth, and maybe say to those people who are like, oh, I didn't get my PlayStation, I'm pissed off or whatever, is listen, maybe there's an alternative out there, or maybe not. Maybe you want to wait around. I'm sure at some point I'll get a PlayStation to play some of the games which look really cool on there coming out. There's no point getting a Xbox if you have a PC, because you can play everything pretty much on that. The exclusive titles on Xbox you can play on PC. I also think that some people might argue and say, well, listen, so many people out there buy a PlayStation or Xbox dependent on like what their friends get, so they can cross-play. Now, that seems to me to be coming to, I don't want to say an end, but it does definitely seem like there's a lot more cross-play involved nowadays, and I guess also what they had before. But I also think that there's a lot of people out there who will buy a FIFA game, a Call of Duty game, a GTA game, and they won't play anything else for a year. So those guys, fine, do whatever you want. I'm talking about Gary Gamer here, who is probably a little bit more savvy, probably plays a few different games, maybe likes the odd indie title here or there as well. And I think the majority of people who watch my videos are probably similar to Gary Gamer in a way of like, they're a bit more savvy about the games they play, what they like, been doing it for a bit longer, and perhaps don't just play Fortnite or PUBG or Call of Duty. And of course, if you want to play those games, do what you want. It's supposed to be fun, right? But just saying that I don't think that probably makes up a large percentage. I don't want to say a majority, but a large percentage of console gamers. And but I do think that there is that scope where if maybe you've been a console gamer and you've been intrigued by PC gaming and what it entails, like I think now there is not a better time than now to have a look and investigate at what you can pick up, because I think I was worried when these consoles came out and I was looking at the figures on them and I was like, wow, these are good and the price is great. But once Nvidia came out with those 3000 series cards, and now AMD with their 6800 and 6900, I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's I thought console might have been coming in and taking over, but it didn't. It got slapped right back down with those cards. So yeah, till next time, guys, I guess I'll see you soon, and stay safe.